Kenyans are not happy. They are not excited after hearing that President Ruto is bringing people with Ebola to Kenya. The news came last week where the American government announced that they have agreed with President Ruto to set up Ebola facilities or quarantine or isolation facilities in Laikipia. And Kenyans are not happy. There are reasons why Kenyans are not happy. The first one, they're asking why Ruto will go and negotiate, receive 1.9 billion shillings without involving Kenyans. After a couple of days, Kenyan seaplanes carrying Ebola patients from Congo to Kenya. They were not involved at all. Kenyans did not accept that idea. The second reason is because Kenya doesn't have the issue of Ebola. We have not had any case of Ebola ever since it was discovered in Uganda and Congo. Now, Kenyans are questioning why do you set up isolation facility, yet we don't have such cases. They've never heard of such cases. And they also know that this facility is going to serve only the Americans in Laikipia. It's not for Kenyans. Even if it's established there, it was intended for Americans. Last year, what they signed, it clearly indicated Americans first. So it means the Americans will be brought, those who contracted the disease from Congo, they'll be brought to Laikipia. Now, once they arrive there and they get isolated, they get treated. If Kenyans get the disease, they are not given the first priority. It is for Americans. So Kenyans are angry. That's why yesterday we saw Kenyans demonstrating. There are many Kenyans who are demonstrating in Laikipia and its environs. They don't want those facilities to be there. They accuse the president of wanting to import the disease deliberately, and they see a hidden agenda. Several Kenyans believe that the president is not popular enough, and next year there will be elections, general elections. So they think he only wants Kenyans to get the disease so that he can declare a state of emergency and lockdown for him to postpone 2027 general elections. That's the feeling of most Kenyans. Now they're wondering, we don't have the disease, Ebola. He has already been given 1.9 billion. The Americans who have the cases or who have contracted the disease are already arriving in Laikipia. In that Laikipia facility, there are Kenyans who are working there. There are Kenyans who interact with those other Kenyans who work there. Even those foreigners who are coming to treat them, they are coming to interact with other Kenyans. We also have even soldiers who man those places. When they go home, they are going to interact with other Kenyans. So it means it's very easy for Kenyans to get the disease through those ones who are being quarantined there. Kenyans are wondering, why should they build the facility in Kenya instead of Congo or Uganda, where the disease originated from. We don't have to import the disease to Kenya. Also, from Congo to US is not far. The distance is almost the same from Congo to Kenya. So instead of bringing them to Kenya, they should take them to the US and treat them there. But the American government doesn't want their citizens in the US to contract the disease. That's why they bring them to Kenya, because they don't care about the health of Kenyans. That is the reason. So President Ruto has answered them and said he's only preparing in case of the disease, in case it is declared that it is in Kenya. So yesterday he said that he means well for Kenyans and he knows what he's doing, and he defended himself. He says there are 23 facilities which have been built or created for specifically this disease, and wondered why Kenyans are so furious about this, yet they did not stop the coronavirus facilities. But now Kenyans are asking him, during Corona, even Kenyans had the disease, but now we don't have Ebola. That is a foreign disease, and now you want to import it deliberately to us. Already the courts have declared that Kenyans must be heard and have stopped building of that facility. But President Ruto does not even care. He doesn't even care about the courts. Everything will go on as planned. But Kenyans are not happy. And they're warning, they're saying if the disease is brought by foreigners, then the entire country will go to protests, as they always do. So that's what is happening. And one danger that this is causing, if Ebola cases are identified in Kenya, in case Kenyans contract, the same Americans who are creating the facility are going to ban Kenyans from visiting America. They'll bring the disease and also close their embassies for Kenyans. Even other countries will close their embassies, will stop Kenyans from traveling to those countries. That is the greatest danger. Now, in the tourism sector, if the tourists hear that there are cases of Ebola in Kenya, they'll stop coming. And the neighboring countries like Tanzania, Rwanda will benefit, will lose. That is the danger of having the facility in Kenya. So in the meantime, just watching to see what will unfold. But today I know the government will go on with the plans, and later on, if it happens that you have the cases, there will be lockdown.